Good morning, this is Michelle with Time Krafts. Wanted to come and show you how to make a business card using your Cricut. The first step I like to start with is picking my size of card that I'm going to want to make, and that's done with picking your shape here. So you click it, and you can make your business cards in any shape you'd like. Some people have squares, some have rectangles. Obviously a rectangle is the most common. However, I like to be a little different, so I do a square one. So I'm going to choose the square, and I'm just wait for it to come up on the screen. From there, you choose what size it is. I believe that the majority of my business cards that I've ordered square come in a 2.5 inch. So I'm going to resize my square to 2.5 inches. You can make it larger for now just so that we can see what we're going to be typing and such, but the overall ending size we want is to be 2.5 inches. So let's blow it up here. So then the first step is to design the things that you're going to want. I'm going to set this off to the side because that's just for our reference for how things will fit on our card once it's done. So to start, you would choose how you would like your card to look. So let's say, just for fun, we're going to have one that has a wreath as our outside feature to it. This one's kind of pretty, I think. So let's choose that. We're going to insert that image. And then we're going to bring our box over so we can see about what size we're going to want to make it. We want to make sure our wreath fits inside this. Now you can decide whether you want it to be a large one, a small one, like how much information you want to set inside. I want to be able to put most of my information on the inside of this wreath, so I want to make sure I keep my wreath a decent size. So you can see that's going to easily fit in there. We don't have to keep it in the box at this point again, because now we know everything we need to do needs to stay inside this size of a wreath. Excuse me. Right now our wreath is set on the cut feature, and we don't actually want to cut this. We want to draw it onto our business card. So we're going to flip it to draw. I'll be honest, I haven't figured out if there's a way to change the Cricut from just drawing an outline to making it solid, but I think in this case an outline will look just fine. So the next thing you need to do is choose what color you're going to want your wreath to be, and that's what this square right here is your color of pen. Obviously you can only choose the colors of pens that you actually own. So if you only own black, then just leave it as a black pen or whatever. I believe I own most of the pens, so I have the choice of all of these colors. So just for the example today, I think I was looking for a nice green. I didn't necessarily want the dark green, but those might be the only choices with Cricut pens. Oh, here we go. Oh, those are infusible ink. So that doesn't help because those are the actual infusible ink markers, which we don't want to use. So I'm going to come back up here and I'm just going to choose the light green. And then we need to be able to put our text inside of here. So we'll go over here and choose a text box and type in the information. So I'm just going to type my first name on this. And then at the box up on your fonts, you would come and choose which font you'd like. And here's a little hack. If you come over here to this filter section and click it, you can filter this out for ones that are actually intended for writing on. Another thing to look for when doing this is, if you notice right here it says multi-layer and then writing, it means that it can write, however it will also cut, and it has multi-layers. So I find when choosing something that I want it to just write, it is best to choose a font that is only for writing. If you look right here, it says writing. It's the easiest one for writing. Seeing that it's a business card, we want to keep the writing somewhat easy to read. So some of these fonts I think would be just kind of difficult for people to do a quick read on it. and they won't be able to access your website if they can't actually read what you've written. So let's try this one here. This is called beadwork. See, that's going to be a little difficult for the reader. Up close, I can see that that's not a good font to choose. So I'll keep looking. I'm sorry, I should have had this figured out for you already, but I didn't realize there were so many choices to choose from. Let's try Brandon here. That one would be appropriate. So then we're going to move it up into our wreath where we have it. It's a little large for what we're doing, so I want to shrink it down and center it again. So that looks nice and pretty inside there. So then we're going to choose another text box, and this is where we'll want to put our business name. I'm going to keep it the same font. You are always welcome to change up your fonts and such as you see fit. So we shrink it down. Oh, selected the wrong thing. We're going to shrink it down. We're going to put it up here. Sometimes it's hard when you're working with Cricut things to get that center thing to select. Sometimes you just got to keep clicking it. Sorry, I can't talk today. That's where they want to go. So you can see that I need to shrink that down just a little bit more to fit comfortably between the wreath. Move it over here a little bit. That doesn't look too bad. Okay, and yet again, we want to choose a box so that you can add in the rest of your information, such as phone number, your website, or your Facebook page, whichever one you have. So I'm going to add in my Facebook page, so facebook.com/idletimecrafts. Now, if I try to put this all the way across, it's going to get very small before people can read it. So I'm actually going to enter at that point and add my handle or my page right there underneath of it. A lot of this is wasted space to me because then when we get this shrunk down, it's going to be harder to read because there's so much space between. So what I'm going to do is come up here to the ungroup spot, click that, and now each letter is on its own. So I'm going to take a box and create around it and come down and reattach these letters back together, because then I can take this entire line and move it up closer to my first line. That'll save space on my card. Then I create a box around all of them and attach them all together again. That way I can move the entire section all at once. I'm going to shrink it down just a touch more because you're going to want to be able to put in a phone number still. I've got that in there. I think I might want to move that over just a touch more. Not that part. See, sometimes it's difficult when the wrong thing selects on you. Move that over just a touch more. Okay, so one last time I'm going to select a font or a text box and type in a phone number. And again, we need to shrink this down so that it fits in our card. Now, obviously, I've got this right here and it's going to be drawn over it, so we don't want to do that, otherwise you'll miss the phone number. So you got to shrink it down until it fits. And right there. So we've got the wreath around and then all of our information inside. You can also choose the color that you want any of these to be written in. Just to give it some pop, I think maybe I'll choose that my name would be kind of a brighter color. I don't want it to look too Christmassy with the green that I've already chosen. So I might go with other shades of green here. And you can play around with it. You could stop, okay, do you like that color? It might be a little too blending in. So let's choose something different. What about raspberry? That could be kind of pretty. And then again, just to keep it a little different, let's do the phone number in the same colors. So you can play around with this however you want. Choose your colors however you want them to be. So we've got this all put together. Then we bring this over because we want to make sure that this is all cut together on the same box, if that makes sense. So this is our actual business card here. This is where it's going to need to cut. So we want to get our box there and get the wreath nicely centered in there. And then create a box around all of it at once, like that, because now we need to shrink this entire thing down to our 2.5 inches again. Remember how we started with the 2.5 inches and then we made it bigger just so we could actually work on it? You can shrink doing it that way, or you can come up and actually just type in the size specific that you want it to be. And then the last step we need to do is to attach this black box to our writing. This is going to be cut, but then this is all being written onto our cut. So then we would attach. Now it's going to cut the square, but draw the rest of your information onto that square. From there, we just want to duplicate as many as you would need to fit onto the size of paper you have. If you're having this done on a 12 by 12, or if you're just using an 8.5 by 11, whatever works for you. So you're going to duplicate it. It's going to take a little bit of time because it's trying to duplicate the entire thing. So what I do to save a little time is, see, now I have 2 of them. The second one isn't quite there yet. There we go. There's a third and a fourth. Now you can highlight this entire section like this and duplicate that, and it's gonna, instead of having to duplicate one by one, you're now duplicating for how many ever you've already arranged there. After this step, we're ready to make it. Make sure you have your machine chosen. You can do this with any of the machines. Just keep in mind, if you have the Joy, your sizing and how many you're going to be able to do at a time is more limited. So you won't be able to do like 15 at a time. You're only going to be able to do probably 6 at a time, which is okay. Just keep that in mind, that you need to make sure your machine is set. And we're going to click Make It. This will help you see how many projects you can do. Like if you can fit a few more cards on there, it'll show you on your cut screen how it's arranged and whether you can fit more cards onto your paper that you're using. So let's say you were using an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, you would either lay it longwise across here so they'd fit, or you could do heightwise and move this one on down here. Did you guys know you can move stuff on the screen? That's another little awesome hack. So if you were using a full sheet of paper here, then you could actually go back and duplicate this another 2 times so that you could do another 3 and another 3. So that way you're cutting as little as possible, or you're exchanging your pens. Now at this point, all you're going to have to do is hit continue. It's going to go to the cut screen. The Cricut will walk you through the rest of this process for things like your pens and all of that. It's going to tell you, please load the green pen, please load the raspberry, please load the black, and it will walk you through when you need to add those in. So most of this you can walk away and just check on it every little bit, because it is going to take a little while to write all of this out. This is not a super fast project. I like doing it for 2 different reasons. One is if I've already ordered business cards, but they're going to take a little bit to get here, and I need to be able to give cards out to people right away for my business, then I can just hand out some handmade ones. Also, I like to do it because sometimes they just have that more homey feel. People tend to look at your cards more when they look a little different than any other card they're going to get. So that's why you can keep in mind, you could have done this in a circle, you could do it in a square, a big square, small square, whatever you want to do. Just have fun with it. That's everything for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial and have a super day.